Hi everyone, and welcome back to Tokyo on Fire. Today is September 8th, 2016. The Tsukiji Fish Market, the largest fish market in the world, was supposed to be moved to a nearby neighborhood called Toyosu. That movement has been delayed. This is a huge issue. Koike Yuriko, the governor of Tokyo, stepped off the airplane carrying triumphantly the Olympic flag to host the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, and before a day had passed, she had a press conference where she stated that she was going to delay this move. This is such a huge deal. We sent our producer and director down to Tsukiji directly to pick up some interviews and to see what's going on the ground. Please take a look.
もう基本的にはここは東京で一番最高のベストなとこなんですよ、場所が。これはどこよりもどんなところよりもここはいいんです。大震災の時もここは基礎がしっかりしてまして、コップ一つ落っこちないんです。向こうの市場は液状化したり絶対してすぐ立ち入り禁止になりました。ですからここほどしっかりした土地はないんです。ですけどまあこの持ち主は東京都ですから、東京都は大家さんですから、大家さんが決めたふうに従うのが僕らはしょうがないことです。
豊洲市場に移るってことに関してはアクセスが非常に悪いので、建築上の問題もいろいろなんかメディアで伺ってますけど、そのようないろいろな疑問点がありますので、できればこの築地で新しくまた再整備をして営業していきたいと考えております。
自分たちが使える場所はとても狭いんです。狭いのに敷地はとっても広かったです。その感覚がすごく納得ができない、表現できないんですよね。自分が使うところは狭いんです。小さいんです。なのにそこまで行く時間がとてもというか、とにかく敷地は広かったです。広いのに自分たちに東京都の方が与えてくださる場所はとても狭かったです。ここと変わらない、築地と変わらないか、もしくは狭くなるぐらいっていう、本当に今騒がれてますけれども、今よりも狭く感じました。
イメージが浮かびませんでした。毎日あそこへ通って仕事をして店のものが魚を買って店に仕入れて、それをお客様に売るという流れがとても想像できないような設計プランでした。どうしてここを使いこなせるのかな、どういう気持ちでああいう設計をされたのかな、不思議に思います。説明していただきたいと思いました。
やはり30年ガス工場だったところで、通常のベンゼンもですね4万2000倍、基準値の4万2000倍も有毒ガスが上がっているような土壌をきれいにできるというふうに踏み切ったんですけれど、この6月の28日に東京都で報告があったんです。土壌と地下水の報告が協議会がありまして、今年の4月と5月に豊洲市場の中でベンゼンが基準値の6割、八百屋さんの棟で、検出されまして、その後水産仲卸島の方でも4割ベンゼンが検出されたんです。それっていうことは土壌汚染がきれいになっていない証であり、かつその市場の中に検出する機械まで、今お気づきかもしれませんが時計がねここにもありますよね。時計みたいに化学物質の検出器が置いてある市場なんてありえないじゃないですか。これで人様の口に入るものをこんなところで扱っていいはずがないですし、何より働いている大勢の社員さんたちの健康被害がどう及ぶかっていうことも説明受けてないんですね。基準値以下だから大丈夫。それはやはり安全面でとてもじゃないけど安心できないです。
東京オリンピックが決まった時点で東京都さんはもう急がれてまして、11月7日にオープンしますんで、全て工事も本店移転の手続きも、それから営業の許可書とかもみんな終わらせてくださいってことを言われてるんですよ。でお金がすごい動いてまして、でその保証問題を 小池さんきちんと考えてらっしゃるのかっていうのも我々の心配してるところなんですよね。で、何にもお金のことを考えなくて移転しますってだけだと、移転延期しますってだけだと皆さん不安だと思いますよ。何百万もお金かかってますから。うちの店だけ400万近くかかってますよね。それも全部自腹です。
知事本当によくやっていただいたと思って皆さん感謝しております。この間もアンケートを取りましたら 80% の人たちが、豊洲に行きたくないということを言っております。豊洲に行くべきだって言っているのはわずか 3% です。それを、他社の、テレビ局がアンケートを取りまして、それをついこの間ですけど発表してます。本当に小池さんには感謝してます。
Michael, welcome back. What do you think about that?
Well, after looking at that video and listening to the various merchants that work at Tsukiji, I still cannot shake the sense that this is really politically, while maybe populist, is not the best idea and certainly is really catering to a very narrow, very slender and slim slice of the electorate. That for her to come out, and I mean her, I mean Governor Koike, to come out of Rio de Janeiro, out of all that wonderful PR that came from that fantastic presentation that they did with that okay, first with her receiving the flag, and then the wonderfully choreographed and the great music, the great program that they put on, for her to come back and immediately go into attack dog mode on something that really needs to be done for the Olympics. I still don't get it.
Well, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. She, in her election campaign, said, I'm going to do this, this, and this. These are very big issues. She was going to postpone or maybe even cancel the award of the Korean school to be opened. She was going to close down the Tokyo Metropolitan Assembly, and she was going to investigate what was the bidding process with the Tsukiji move.
Well, the Tsukiji move, and also we have an ongoing investigation. Well, it sort of went nowhere, involving the bid for the Tokyo Olympics themselves. There seemed to be no documents for that, and that was pretty astonishing when that came out. But here in this case, there are certain issues that have popped up repeatedly. The site was formerly a gas plant. So yes, it was loaded with chemical residues, and possibly there are health-related issues. Now, there was a lot of dirt moved out of there, a lot of fresh dirt moved in. There are monitoring stations everywhere throughout the new facility. Of course, having some kind of graph or some kind of a device up there offering you a reading on how much benzene there is in the air, how much of a certain other chemical there is. Of course, that would emphasize that there was chemical contamination at the site before, even though the number that might be there might be below the national standards of safety. The fact that there is this monitoring going on would indeed create an oppressive atmosphere. Well, there was nothing else that can be done, is my first reaction. That's one of the issues. The other issue is that there's not enough space. We saw that in the video, and it's kind of confusing. They say it's bigger, but it's smaller.
It's almost twice as big as the current Tsukiji area.
Yeah, that's in terms of its total area, and yet they say it's smaller. And my understanding of that, if I understand it at all, is that the stall size is smaller. Now, they are very small as it is at the Tsukiji site, and it's possible that within the building there is a restricted amount of space for the individual vendors and the individual stall owners. That may be so, that may not be so. It depends on how one argues about what the area is, what the workspace is, what work is allowed to in that particular workspace. So there's that issue but that doesn't really, that's not Governor Koike's problem.
Right.
How things are, and if within the various cooperatives and the various organizations that run the internal politics of Tsukiji. They can't figure out a way of moving internal boundaries in some ways to accommodate these various needs. Well, that's still not her business.
Right. Well, this is coming kind of really late in the game. The building is already constructed. They've already had tours going through there. They're supposed to move there in 2 months' time.
In November the 7th, yeah.
That's right.
Was the previous move date, yeah.
I mean, there's an awful lot of momentum that's going there. I mean, you have to order, you know, for example, these walk-in refrigerators, a lot of, you know, shipments.
You have to get the moving companies. You've got all these things that you have to do.
But she said stop. And I think the reason why she said stop, I mean, she's picking a couple of very serious fights and picking on some guys that really wield a lot of political power in the Tokyo Assembly. I admire her for doing that because it's obvious that there's a lot of things going on kind of under the surface. I mean, people are complaining about the pollution or about the access. But I think really what people are upset about is that, you know, when this deal was done 20 years ago, it was 3 previous governors' administrations that it was done on, that there was a lot of money exchanged hands. There was a lot of bidding that was required, that people say, you know, this bidding process was not fairly done. That money has already left, and the people who enjoyed the benefit of those transactions are now doing other things.
Or they're pushing hard to keep to the deadline, we're going to move by this day, because they're invested in it.
Well, I think that's really the rub. I think that there was a lot of money that was made by certain pockets of whoever was making the decisions. And in this society and this culture, you know, that's usually at the top, and people just, you know, adhere to what the word was from on high, and they follow that. I mean, we've had conversations about this before, that the Japanese bureaucracy is widely admired and followed by, you know, the Japanese population as being, you know, right and honorable and doing the right thing.
But in this case, the bureaucrats would be moved on by the process of seniority, so that the ones who had been in charge at the time of the original bidding process or during the construction process, they've all moved on or are retired. What she's clearly focusing on are the persons who are still in place. And that can only be the long-term incumbents in the Tokyo Assembly. They've been there through the entire process. They have had their friends, whether it's in the construction industry or moving in or the trucking industry or whatever, they've got their slice. She's clearly looking, especially at one party, her own, the LDP, and its top layer of most of members of the assembly who've been elected and re-elected so many times. They're obviously the targets here. And of course, the head of the Tokyo Assembly's LDP branch, Mr. Uchida, is clearly her main target.
Right. But don't you think if people were in line to receive the largesse of that kind of huge transaction, they're the ones that are going to be trying to cover the tracks and making sure that things went along, and please don't look behind the curtain.
That's right, but the thing is, they're in office. They're elected officials. Unless you have some kind of criminal case to bring against them, what you're doing by saying, nope, this can't go forward, is merely
picking a fight
with them. Right. And they're not going to be in office for very long. I mean, I believe that all the incumbents are up for re-election in June of next year with an assembly election. But even so, they're there. And goodness gracious, what a way to start. I mean, yes, she did make campaign promises on this matter, and campaign promises should be fulfilled. But unless she has some backup plan, and many people say she does, we're going to have a very seriously messed up situation in the Tokyo Assembly.
Well, the Tokyo Assembly, not just the Tokyo Assembly, I mean, the fish market needs to move. I mean, that's on path. You know, if it doesn't follow through, what are they going to do? And they have a highway that's going through there as well. That construction needs to start.
There are all kinds of plans for that particular piece of land, and this delay merely appeals to the vendors who are already there. Sure, they like being there. You know, they probably have their homes nearby. It's probably an easy commute. They probably have arranged their lives entirely around the fact that the Tsukiji Market is where it's located. Well, you know, other people in other large corporations or large organizations have had to make do. The Tokyo metropolitan government, for example, used to be downtown, and then it was moved to Shinjuku. People's lives got disrupted by that. They lived through it. Right. And the same is true with the Tsukiji Market. But in terms of the Gikai, I really have to come back to the politics of it. There's been a lot of talk of Koike setting up a new party. And this would be much more than the national level. This assembly, she would probably be replicating what happened, how she got into the Diet, which was through the picking of assassins by Prime Minister Koizumi to take down his enemies inside the Diet in the election where she won her first district seat. Maybe she's just doing the replication of that and is targeting all these old LDP guys, mostly, and saying, I'm going to make sure that I have my assassins next time you come up for election.
Right.
If she can find people to run for her, I just don't know.
Well, I don't think it was really an ill-fated decision for her to postpone the move. And I also don't think that the people who have the shops around the current Tsukiji really enjoy it. I mean, it's like a Warren's nest. I mean, it's difficult.
It's an astonishing concatenation of everything inside decaying buildings.
Right.
It's to say that you need to stay there. Yeah, but what if you want to do even the slightest bit of renovation? Large parts of it will have to be shut down, and where are all those people going to be going to doing their work?
Sure. Here's my objection, though. If you're going to move, I mean, everybody in the world knows what Tsukiji is. I mean, people who come to, I mean, it's the largest tourist attraction in Tokyo.
True.
Okay? So if you're going to move something like that, you want to move it bigger and better and resplendent than what it was originally. I mean, and you look at it now, and it's, I mean, the paths for the tourists to come in are somewhat blocked. It's not, the access is not as good. I would have thought that they would have really front-loaded a lot of money in the architecture and the design so that it was, you know, even better than the old
But this is a 20-year project, and 20 years ago, the concept that we have to make Japan tourist-friendly was in no public official's mind. It may have been in a lot of
that's true.
companies that were trying to do tourism, but 20 years ago, they just didn't care. And it's only now, with the Abe administration, that we have a real concerted push in all respects to try to improve Japan's friendliness. Now, the Toyosu site is probably not just tourist not friendly, it's probably tourist hostile. Certainly, there are not the train or bus opportunities that there exist with Tsukiji, or even the walking opportunities that exist. Because if you want to go see one of the early markets at 5 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, you better be nearby in some way physically. And Toyosu is not nearby to any basic center of where people would be staying. Sure, that's an arguable point for not moving Tsukiji, but the site is decaying. And it was thought that 20 years ago they would have to move it out. And again, this is very, very similar to the situation between Haneda and Narita in the 1970s, where the idea was we have to move the airport functions way away.
What a huge boondoggle that was.
Was a huge boondoggle. And we can see echoes of that in the Toyosu move. And the only difference is that it's not surrounded by tens of thousands of radical students and tens of thousands of policemen fighting radical students. I remember when I first came to Tokyo, there was barbed wire all around Narita and guard. It was Berlin in Japan. It was a scene. That hasn't happened with the Toyosu site, but nevertheless, this sense of moving things outward does have resonances to people. All that being said, I still think it's really, really an unnecessary cause of extra stress in what is already a tremendously stressed relationship between Governor Koike and the Tokyo Assembly.
Well, we're going to see more of that. I mean, this is just the first volley, don't you think?
If it's the first volley, then we're not going to have anything done for a very, very long time. And this city is way behind in its preparations.
Yes,
it is absolutely crazily behind. And a lot, and I don't know if you saw the designs that came out for the new station on the Yamanote line this week.
This week.
Yeah, and which is going to use a lot of canvas and wood to emphasize nature. And I was looking at that and on one part of the newspaper and looking at the typhoon predictions on another part of the newspaper. I said, oh yeah, a canvas and wood station during typhoon season and the Olympics. That's going to go great. There are so many things that they're are not being thought out. They're not being worked on because and so why have further delays?
Right.
Why have further problems? And that's what has happened.
Let's get back to Tsukiji. Michael, I picked up this book by Theodore Bester. Ted Bester. He's an American. He doesn't go by that European-sounding Colbert kind of thing. He's an anthropologist at Harvard University.
And he's an anthropologist and
a great book.
And a great book and a great anthropologist and a great member of the Japan Studies community. Yeah.
Right. There's so much history and so much tradition and culture that's embodied in Tsukiji. I mean, they call it the refrigerator of Tokyo. You know, the kitchen of Tokyo,
the cupboard of Tokyo, if you want it. Yeah, and it certainly has built into it, and this is part of what makes it hard to move. Centuries of business habits. Now, you can of course run things on a perfectly market-based set of principles. But that's not the way that Tsukiji is run. Tsukiji is run through long-term relationships, through bidding processes that actually do not award things to the highest bidder or the lowest bidder, and that they work through all kinds
of those things that people love to complain about doing business in Japan. It's part of Tsukiji,
it's enracinated in the entire culture. And when they're going to be moved, some people who've had shops next to each other for centuries will be in different parts of the building. There's no way to replicate the Tsukiji experience.
And you probably kind of don't want to. I mean, it is a mess there anyway. I'm sure the reason why it's like that is because to accommodate the cramped quarters, and you can only have so much space for the fish to be imported in. And in fact, when they first built it, it was to be close to the water, and nobody uses the water anymore to unload the fish.
That's right. It's absolutely. And the Tsukiji area and the Tsukiji fish market has been there for centuries. And it's been under the charge, actually, of a group that came from Osaka a long time ago. And this market is indeed tied intimately with the rest of the world because, again, most of the seafood that's put through it actually isn't Japanese seafood.
That's right.
And so it is the market at the center of the world, and I think that's what Ted Bester called it. And at this point, you're doing something that's really bold, really big, and you're going to have a lot of people complaining very loudly because it's their bailiwick.
Right.
And yet, you have to move on.
Right. How about this argument? You know, frequently when a building needs to be demolished, or an apartment building, and you have somebody that just refuses to move, right? And in order to get them to move, you have to encourage them to voluntarily move, and that usually requires a payment of a lot of money, plus moving them for free to a new location. There's an argument that this group that's opposed to moving to Toyosu,
which is practically all the merchants themselves, they're against it. It disrupts their lives. Understandable.
Right. And the argument there is somebody made a lot of money in this transaction. It's coming time for us to move. We're just going to put a stick in the ground, and we're going to be really reticent, and we're going to make a lot of noise until you pay us a little bit more, and then we'll move and we'll be quiet.
There is that argument that that's exactly what this is about. If so, then Governor Koike has facilitated in their extorting money from the public.
Right. She wants to appeal to voters. I mean, she came in on a populist campaign. She won tremendously. I mean, it was a landslide, and I think she needs to appeal to those voters. The move needs to go on. I just, the layout, the design of the building is far superior to what it is now. But yes, the different stalls that the merchants are given are smaller. There are not enough electrical plugs. There are a lot of things that they're going to have to work out, but this is a design for the future.
And it's something that's been planned for a long time. But in terms of Koike Yuriko and her political career, perhaps this is going to be a feather in her cap. Who knows? If indeed all of these old guard LDP members who have so far snubbed her or made her life difficult,
payback,
get knocked off, all the better for her. But now that I've seen those videos and heard from the merchants themselves, it's clear that a lot of work was left undone by previous governors.
Right.
Whether she's going to be able to work that out, and indeed that's the whole point of it, to bring the merchants along to it, that's an issue that maybe does require there to be a delay.
Right. Well, the full videos of all of the interviews that we held will be available on our YouTube channel soon. Please stay tuned. We're going to continue to follow this. This is a big issue. It's a big fight for Koike Yuriko. Please stay tuned. We're going to watch it and report to you.